since you heard from me, and I wanted to share what the reasoning was for that. Almost a month ago, I actually developed a skin wound, and so I decided to be in bed every spare second so that this could heal as fast as possible. My main goal was the fact that we had our annual trip planned to Cancun. Of course, I wanted to be able to enjoy this vacation by being outside and up in my wheelchair as much as possible. So I was actually in bed for 9 days. I was determined to do this with a good attitude, as I knew that it would pay off for a better vacation. And little did I know, it was just the beginning. When our flight arrived in Cancun, I was soon to realize that something was very wrong with my wheelchair. When we were getting off the plane, I saw that my backrest was completely separated from my wheelchair, and my wheelchair was not turning on. I watched Doug and 2 others work on my chair for almost 45 minutes. And thankfully, there was a gentleman in St. Paul that works on my wheelchair that when I called, he answered and walked Doug through how to get my wheelchair back together working, because they couldn't get power, couldn't get the backrest back on, but finally they got everything figured out. So as we left the airport in Cancun and headed to our resort, we commented on how relieved we were that everything came together, because I cannot function without my wheelchair. I can't slip into another wheelchair and use that. I need to be in this chair that's made for me. And so thankfully, the pilot of the plane actually filed a report/complaint with Delta, so this does not happen again. And as we continued on our vacation, we tried to shrug this off, and the first couple days were actually amazing. We had hot weather, we had amazing food, lots of fun. But on Friday, I started coughing. Coughing where I couldn't stop, and my chest started to tighten where it felt like I couldn't get enough air. And I had experienced a bit of this last year on our trip, so at first I didn't think much about it. But by Saturday evening, I was really struggling, and I was visited by the doctor at our resort. And upon her examination, she requested that I be taken to the hospital. Now keep in mind, I am not in the United States, and I was very nervous that doctors would not be able to really know how to handle my situation, especially with my spinal cord injury. And even though they promised me that they had wheelchair accessible transportation, I was soon consenting very nervously to my wheelchair being picked up by 5 Mexican men to be put in the ambulance. And so, crazy enough, I was brought to the hospital by ambulance, and when I arrived, I was quickly made aware to the fact that this hospital did not look safe. And so Doug and I, shortly upon arriving, decided actually to refuse care and go back to the hospital, because the hospital wanted to admit me, they wanted me to stay overnight, and were requiring a $7,000 down payment in case my insurance did not pay. And so we went back to the hotel, and the next week was really a blur of full-on bronchitis, in which my situation is never fun. There was a lot of nebulizers, assisted coughing, where Doug and my caregiver Emily pushed on my diaphragm to help me cough, because the muscles that are required to cough are paralyzed. The same ones that are required to sing. If you've heard me sing, I talk about that. And so all of this was happening multiple hours of the day, the coughing, but really the nights were the most difficult, because I was struggling with feeling like I was not getting enough air, and I was worried about falling asleep. And even at a few points, Doug and I even talked about coming home early, about going to Rochester to make sure that I was okay. It was really scary. And even though it seemed to diminish a bit in our last couple days of vacation, we tried to make the most of it, as we had friends visiting from Wyoming, and the weather was completely gorgeous every single day. So as we arrived back in Minneapolis, we were relieved to be home. And as we approached my van to leave the airport, we soon were to realize that my van had a dead battery, and the van would not start. We waited an hour and a half for AAA to arrive, and we laughed as we looked back on our many troubles over the last few weeks. And so almost immediately, thankfully, after getting home, my symptoms of bronchitis diminished. And I don't know if it was because we were in drier air or what happened, but I was feeling better even the next day. And so after being home for this last week, I've had lots of reflection on our trip and the things that we encountered. And even though our vacation last year was absolutely amazing, it was romantic, it was restful, rejuvenating, I would learn this year that there are no guarantees that life is always going to be smooth sailing and easy. That even though we did everything we could to ensure a great vacation, that life still happened and we had to roll with the punches. And so it was easy to see that in the struggles, there were also many blessings, people helping us. And it's amazing to see in those struggles, you can see how many people care. We had family friends that were at the resort trying to help us, people at the resort that we had met throughout the years of going there. Also my amazing caregiver, Emily and Doug, helping me. That was amazing to see, a blessing really in disguise. Another blessing was learning about international healthcare and what I need to bring with me in the future. And thankfully my doctors in Rochester were huge blessings as they were there to take my calls and helped me figure out what I could do to get better and recover. But it was also here that I learned about the differences in medication. We did have some good laughs as all of my prescriptions and all of my medications were in Spanish. Thankfully, Doug knew a little bit from high school and from his college years, but yikes, there were some times where we didn't even know what we were supposed to be doing with these medications. However, all of this will help me be better prepared as we travel in the future and could possibly help someone else as we put together lists and items that could prevent this, and I can share that with others, which I plan on doing in the future. Another blessing was that it forced me to rest and relax. Usually when I'm on vacation, I have 7 to 10 books that I want to read, and I'm on a mission to get them accomplished. Now, reading for me is very relaxing, but going through this forced me to honestly lean back in my wheelchair and rest, to do nothing. And I'm not very good at that. I'm always wanting to be accomplishing something. And so this rest taught me so much and was really important. And knowing going forward how important that is, that rest, doing nothing is something that we all need to do. Another blessing was a great tan. I hope you can see through this video that we all got lots of sunshine and some vitamin D to bring back with us to Snowland. Man, we've got a lot of snow here to really get us through the rest of this winter. So that was another blessing. And if you have asked, how did you get through that? I mean, even though it wasn't really romantic, it wasn't the restful and rejuvenating vacation that we planned, we still had some great times. We got through it by choosing to have a positive attitude, knowing how grateful we were to even be on this vacation. We got through it by being patient with each other. As Doug and I have grown a lot in this over the years of being married, and we've seen in sickness, it's really easy to get frustrated with each other. But Doug and I came out of this loving each other even more, knowing how important it is to take care of each other and to be there for each other. We also got through it by taking it one day at a time. We would try to make the most of just every day, not thinking about tomorrow, just thinking about how can we make the most of this. And even though there's some days that were consumed with huge intervals of being inside and dealing with my sickness, we still had plenty of sunshine and warmth, and we made the most of it in what we could. So I want to encourage you to do the same. If you're struggling and going through challenges, know that this season will not last forever. Try to see the blessings that are in the struggles because they are always there. And take it one day at a time. Even taking it moment by moment can be so important when you're going through challenges. I know the frustration, but as many said to me on vacation, they said this too shall pass, and it was true. So thank you for joining me today. Hope that you were inspired by my message. Please be sure and comment below about this video, and I would also love it if you would follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and on my YouTube channel. See you soon.